Let me ask you something. Have you ever believed that you were in love? At least it felt like love, but only later to realize that what seemed like love was actually confusion? What began as charm and affection slowly shifted into control, manipulation, and pain. Well, the line between love and narcissistic abuse can be hard to see, and especially if you have fallen in love with that narcissistic person. And that makes it so devastating. If you've ever found yourself questioning whether what you had was really love or not, know this: you are not alone. Hello, I am Dr. Jan, and I can certainly relate to these questions because I lived them. I know the heartbreak of not recognizing the hidden signs in narcissistic abuse. And I paid the price with confusion, pain, and a broken heart. And I certainly don't want this to happen to you, because the truth of the matter is there are hidden signs of narcissistic abuse. And once you know them, you can protect yourself, break free, and begin to heal. And that's why today I want to share episode 16 with you. It's entitled, You Thought It Was Love: 7 Hidden Signs that will help you recognize the painful truth about narcissistic abuse. Because the sooner you can spot the signs, the sooner you can stop the cycle, reclaim your power, and never mistake narcissistic abuse for love again. So let's get started. But before we talk about the 7 hidden signs, let's define and describe what a narcissist is. What is a narcissist? Well, a narcissist is a person, generally a male. Statistically, there are more male narcissists than there are females in the world. So, when you first meet a narcissist, the experience can feel magnetic, flattering, and even intoxicating. That was my experience. When I first met my second husband, who was a narcissist, I didn't know it. I didn't even know what a narcissist was at the time. That's just how naive I was. But when I first met my second husband, he came across as charming, charismatic, and confident. He made me feel like I was lucky to have met this great person. And I remember saying to myself, I don't know what's going to happen in this relationship, but if nothing happens in it, at least I would like to be his friend. I'll have him as my friend for the rest of my life. That's just how much he impressed me. He showered me with attention, compliments, and interest. He just made me feel so unique and so highly valued. Now, you have to understand my experience with my first husband to understand my reaction with this new person in my life. You see, for the first 20 years, I had been a victim of domestic abuse, physical violence with husband number 1. And I had just recently divorced him husband number one, and starved for male attention. Just the way it was. And now I meet this new person who is altogether different from my first husband. And I was totally blown away. I was completely unaware of what I was getting myself involved in. But I later learned the hard way about narcissists. A narcissist is arrogant, cocky, and self centered. They focus on themselves and nobody else. They have this grandiose sense of self importance. They feel entitled. They expect special treatment and privileges. They seek attention. A narcissist craves admiration and praise, but they lack empathy for others because they don't care about anybody but themselves. Narcissists are manipulative and controlling. They use people for their own personal gain, and they rarely take responsibility for their behavior, but they're quick to find fault in others. They exploit others and they take advantage of others' people's their gifts, and they do it without any feeling of guilt whatsoever. Basically, narcissists are not nice people, to say the least. And I should know. I was married to one for 22 years. So here are 7 hidden signs that will help you recognize the painful truth of narcissistic abuse. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. Number 1, the first hidden sign is love bombing. Now, if you are as naive as I used to be, I didn't even know what love bombing meant. Well, love bombing is when the narcissist first meets the person, I would say the victim, and he comes in giving you attention, affection, and literally overwhelms you with what we call love bombing. The second sign of narcissistic abuse is gaslighting. Now, what is gaslighting? You hear that term thrown around so often, but simply, gaslighting is when the abuser twists your reality until you begin to doubt your own memory, your own feelings, and your own sanity. Gaslighting is terrible. Let me give you an example of gaslighting. Let's say your husband tells you, "Don't worry, honey, I'm going to take care of paying the electric bill this week. So don't worry about it. You just relax." And a few weeks later, however, you get a bill that the gas bill is overdue. So you go to him and you ask him, "Honey, didn't you say that you were going to pay the gas bill?" And he replies to you with a straight face, "I never said that. You must be imagining things. You always forget stuff. I told you it was your responsibility to pay the bill. You're just too stressed. That's why you can't remember anything correctly." Now, you are left confused. And you begin second guessing yourself and saying to yourself, "Did I misunderstand? Maybe I did forget." That's what we call narcissistic abuse number 2, gaslighting. The third hidden sign of narcissistic abuse is control disguised as care. Now, here's an example of control disguised as care. The narcissist might say to you, you know, I don't think you should drive at night anymore. I just worry about you. What if you get into an accident? You know, it's safer if I drive you everywhere. Now, on the surface, this sounds so protective and caring, doesn't it? But in reality, it's going to strip away your independence, your mobility, and your independence. Over time, your freedom to go and take care of your own business and do for yourself without permission from him will no longer be possible, because this one who pretends to take care of you and wants the best for you, really, all the while, they are wanting to control you in disguise. That's control number 3. Let's look at the fourth, the hidden sign of narcissistic abuse, number 4, and that is shifting the blame. Here's an example of how the narcissist does this. You tell your husband or your partner that, it really hurts me when you yell at me in front of my friends. But instead of him taking responsibility for how he has hurt you and apologizing for it, no, he doesn't do that. What he does is he says, well, if you hadn't embarrassed me first, I wouldn't have to yell at you. You know how stressed I am, and you always push my buttons. This is your fault. I wouldn't act the way I do if you would treat me better. Now, this narcissistic abuser, what he has done is to refuse to take accountability, to refuse to take responsibility for what he did. And now he wants to make you feel responsible for his harmful behavior. Now, over time, this can cause confusion in you, guilt, and self-blame, leaving you doubting yourself instead of holding him accountable and responsible. You end up being the problem. And it's always going to be your fault with a narcissistic abuser. They will never take the blame for anything that they do, even though they are in the wrong. Fifth hidden sign of narcissistic abuse is the silent treatment. Yes, now most of us have experienced the silent treatment, excuse me, in one way or another. But this silent treatment is a bit different. Let me give you a scenario. Your feelings are hurt because your spouse forgot your birthday. But he doesn't apologize for it, and he doesn't talk, you two talk it through. Instead, he completely shuts down. And for the next 2 or 3 days, he refuses to talk to you. He ignores your presence. He won't answer your simple questions, and he simply acts like you don't exist. What's happening here? It's punishment and control. The narcissistic abuser is withholding communication from you to make you feel anxious and guilty. even though you didn't do anything wrong. He did, but he is going to punish you and make you desperate to make things right, even though you did nothing wrong. So, you being who you are, you do begin to get anxious, and you might even end up apologizing to him. Why? Because you want to break that silence and that air of irritability. And so you will break the silence and restore peace. But what does that do to this abuser? It reinforces his power over you. Mm. Here is hidden sign number 6. We call this hot and cold behavior. Now, hot and cold behavior is one moment the narcissist is making you feel adored, loved. You're showered with attention. You are the best thing since sliced bread. And the very next moment, he's rejecting you, discarding you, ignoring you, maybe even disrespecting you in some kind of way. And you are totally confused. You don't know what's happening. You don't know whether you did something to cause him to feel this way. And so you are literally walking on eggshells, trying to do anything you can to keep from doing something wrong. These are the things that narcissistic abusers do. Those were 6, but here's the 7th. And to me, this 7th abuse is the worst of all. And it is the erosion of self-worth. I'm going to give you a personal example of the erosion of self-worth, the erosion that I went through personally. With husband number 2, he was a pastor of a prominent church in Texas. And of course, as his wife, I was the first lady of the church. And naturally, I wanted to dress well and look my best and present myself well for my pastor husband. But in the mornings, that Sunday mornings, as we're getting dressed to go to church, he's making cutting remarks to me, and it's just to hurt me. I didn't realize it at the time. And he's saying things like, I don't know why you're trying so hard. Nobody's going to pay you any attention anyway. Nobody looks at you. Now, at first, I used to just brush it off as his opinion. But over time, his constant negative, little cruel remarks began to slowly eat away at my self-confidence. And pretty soon, my self-esteem and my self-worth were affected. I began questioning myself, my appearance, my leadership ability with the women in the church. Was I enough? How was I doing? I even began doubting my intelligence, and he kept cutting me down, and his slow drip of criticism was beginning to erode my self-worth, piece by piece, leaving me dependent on his approval and unsure of my own value, until finally my self-worth was a wreck. His criticism of me, his put down, has finally taken its toll. And how I wish that I had known those 7 hidden signs when I was married to narcissist, abuser number 2, husband number 2. But now that you recognize them, you will be able to take control of your life again. And you can protect yourself, break free, and begin to heal. I want to end this episode by telling you the truth about narcissistic abusers. Remember, we asked that question at the beginning of this episode. We asked, is it love? You thought it was love, but you weren't sure. But was it? The answer is no. It was not love. And the narcissist never loved you. The narcissist didn't love you or care about you because a narcissist is incapable of love or care about anyone except themselves. The narcissist can't love you because the narcissist is in love with himself. And your relationship, my marriage for 22 years, as I think back, was completely superficial. But this narcissist is not just unloving to me. It turns out that this narcissist can not love his parents, his family members, not even his own children. You see, the narcissist has what we call a personality disorder, described as NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. They're self-centered, arrogant, they lack empathy, and they are just people that are very, very lacking in so many ways. And if you marry them, like I did, you will end up in a loveless marriage because no matter how much you give to the relationship, to the marriage, it will never be reciprocated because unfortunately, the partner can't reciprocate. So study and learn these 7 hidden signs. Tuck them away so that if you ever come across a narcissist, you can protect yourself as if your life depended on it. And really, it does. Well, I am Dr. Jan, and I want to thank you for listening to my channel, Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan. Please remember to subscribe and like my channel and check out my website. It is www.jnbministries.org. Check out the book that I wrote. It's entitled Testimony of a Kept Woman, From Misery to Ministry Instead of the State Penitentiary. It is an ebook that can be downloaded from my website, and soon it will be an audio book. It's a memoir about my life. And this book tells about how I lived 42 years as a victim of domestic abuse, and I never told anyone about my personal life, not even my family. The book, Testimony of a Kept Woman, tells how I remained silent through the physical violence, the emotional abuse, the verbal abuse, the psychological mind game called gaslighting. And yet, this is the amazing part. My story has a happy ending. Yes, it does. I am 85 years young. I was born November 1939. And today, I am a sassy survivor and overcomer of domestic abuse, not just once, but twice. lived almost 20 years with husband number one, who was physically violent. And I lived 22 years with husband number two, who was a narcissist and a pastor of a prominent church. And I was the first lady. But God is so good. I completely healed and recovered from the trauma and the drama of domestic abuse. And I'm still here in my right mind, and I don't look like where I've been. And believe me, I've been to hell and back. So, get my book, Testimony of a Kept Woman. It tells my amazing story. And without the Lord, I never would have made it. Also, on my website, I have an online course entitled 7 Power Keys. It is a program written to help you heal and recover. And if you are ready to heal, recover, and reclaim your life, then check out my online course. 7 Power Keys online will give you the spiritual and practical steps to move from pain to power without losing your dignity, your influence, or your faith. Whether you are a pastor's wife like I was, or a professional woman, or a leader who feels trapped behind the mask we wear, this 7 Power Keys course is designed to help you recover privately, yet powerfully, from the trauma and drama of domestic abuse without losing your influence, your dignity, or your faith. And by the end of the course, through these 7 keys, you won't just survive, you will be able to walk away from abuse with tools, the faith, and the confidence to rise, reclaim, and rebuild your life the way God intended it to be. So I thank you again for tuning in to my channel, Life After Trauma with Dr. Jen. And I ask you to subscribe if you haven't already and like my channel. I look forward to being with you the next time. God bless you and see you soon.